Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for registering and attending CrossCountry's very first Sage Intacct release demo webinar. We're really excited to demonstrate some of the newest features available in the R2 release. Before we get started, there are a few housekeeping items for today's session. All attendees will be muted throughout the presentation. To earn CPE credits, you must attend for at least 50 minutes and respond to a minimum of 3 polling questions, which will appear on your screen at various points during the session. Lastly, if you have any questions during today's demo, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Our post-production support team will do our best to respond to your questions throughout the session. And if you stay with us until the end, we'll also have a dedicated time for additional Q&A. Here's a look at today's agenda. First, we'll introduce our facilitators, your CrossCountry Sage Intacct post-production support team, and share a brief overview of our PPS offerings. Then we'll jump into a live demo of the exciting new R2 features. And finally, we'll wrap up with a quick summary and open it up for a Q&A session. To kick things off, I'd like to introduce today's facilitators from our post-production support team. I'm Ashley, and I'll be your moderator today. I'm an experienced manager with over 12 years of experience supporting global technology software, specializing in SaaS financial systems with 8+ years of deep hands-on experience with Sage Intacct. Joining me today are 3 of my fantastic colleagues who you'll hear from during the demo. Ginger, an experienced manager with 18+ years in accounting and over a decade working with Sage Intacct, ERP implementations, and project management. Becca, another experienced manager with 12+ years supporting cloud ERP solutions, 7+ years of Sage Intacct expertise, and strong experience leading implementations and post-production support. And James, a senior consultant with 6+ years supporting Sage Intacct, a background in accounting and audit, and a strong focus on developing customized client solutions. We're looking forward to sharing today's session with you. So now let's move into today's objectives. Our objectives for this webinar are to familiarize you with the key features introduced in the R2 release, show you how these updates can bring value to your organization, and help you prepare your system and teams to take advantage of these new features and the impacts that may be associated with them. And lastly, share our 5 cross-country PPS support offerings. Now to kick things off, let's launch our first polling question. How many Sage Intacct releases have you experienced? Please take a few seconds to submit your response. Thank you all for participating in our first poll. Looks like we have a pretty good mix of users on today's call, from those newer to Sage Intacct and to those who've been through quite a few releases. So this is really great to see. Next, we wanted to quickly highlight our full suite of post-production support services. Many of you may already be familiar with our offerings, but it's always important to remember that our PPS team is here to support you throughout the entire year. Our goal is to help you maximize the value of your Sage Intacct investment, not just during release periods, but at every single stage. This slide highlights our 5 key PPS offerings, which covers everything from day-to-day operational assistance to enhancement support and more. With that, let's move into our next polling question. Is your organization ready for the R2 release? Please take a few seconds to answer. Thank you again for answering our second poll. Thank you for sharing your responses. Whether you're feeling fully ready or still preparing, that's exactly why we're here today, to make sure you're equipped with the knowledge you need. Now I'll hand it over to James, who will kick off our live demo, starting with the updates in the company application.
Great, thanks, Ashley. And thank you to everyone for joining today's webinar. Really excited to be here and sharing these exciting new updates that are coming with Sage Intacct R2. So first and foremost, if you haven't had a chance to review the release notes, no problem. Just wanted to show you where you can actually access those within the system. So if you're in your signing into Sage Intacct on your home screen, you can access the release notes right here with the read the release notes options. If you haven't taken a chance to look at those, not a problem. But definitely encourage you to read through those. And if you have any questions over the things that we covered today or anything else in the release notes that maybe we don't cover, definitely feel free to reach out to your account manager through a hub ticket. Apologize, I am a little bit sick today, so bear with me if you hear a little bit of sniffling and coughing as I go through this. Next, I also just wanted to highlight that this is a major release. So with many major releases, things do tend to take a little while to get ironed out. So we do see a few defects. If you find that you're working in the system, you determine that something may be a defect, feel free to reach out to us as well. Additionally, some of the areas that we're going to be covering today, we did identify some defects, so we'll try and highlight those as we work through them. The first thing I'm going to cover is around email sender domain. If you use Sage Intacct to send emails from your company domain, you want to make sure that you set up email sender domain in order to enhance your email security and reliability of delivery to your customers. If you're using Sage Intacct to send emails out of accounts receivable, order entry, or projects, you want to make sure that you go ahead and set this up. One way to tell if you're using your domain to send emails out of Sage Intacct, you can navigate to the company application, the admin tab, and the email delivery history. You can select show all emails, and you find in the sender column that you have emails coming from your company domain for things coming out of order entry or projects or accounts receivable. You want to make sure to get this set up if you haven't already. To set this up, you want to navigate to the company application, setup tab, and then company. Select edit in the top right-hand corner, navigate to security, and then scroll down to email sender domain settings. From here, you'll select add domain, enter in your company domain, and select authenticate. When you authenticate the domain, the system will go ahead and generate your DNS keys. It does take a moment, but once these are generated, you want to go ahead and provide these to your IT team to add to your email service. Once added, you can come back here and select validate domain. And then once validated, you're authorizing Intacct to send emails on your company's behalf. Again, this will enhance email security and deliverability to your customers. The next thing I wanted to cover within the company application is Intacct's new import service. This adds a little bit of expanded functionality when importing transactions. And one of the key highlights here is you can have real-time error feedback while you're importing. To get to the new import service, you want to navigate to the company application, setup tab, and import data. From here, you'll see a link here at the top for new import service. Go ahead and select that. For today's demonstration, we're going to go ahead and perform a department update. So here on the department list, you can select updates. Oh, sorry. Let's go back one more time here. Just jump back into the import service. In order to do the import, you want to make sure that you download the template first, which can be done by selecting the template link here. I've already downloaded a template and set it up for this demonstration. We'll take a look at it here. So in this instance, we have the ID, name, report title, and other fields within the department record. Um, we're going to go ahead and update the report title and the supervisor ID on these departments. One thing to note when performing update imports is that if the field has a value in it, say report title, if we were to clear this out and have it as blank, the import will then clear that field out. So if you're not going to be trying to clear out fields, just make sure that you have the current value within that field in the import file. All right, so now when we're ready to import, we'll select the update link, go ahead and find our file, and open. From here, Intacct's import service will then begin to start mapping the headers within that file. So for ID, record number, department name, name, department name, so on and so forth. Take a look at this just to ensure that your headers are all mapped correctly to the fields that you're attempting to update, and then select continue. Here is mapping fields for active or non-active or active non-posting. We'll just go ahead and leave these as is and select continue. Now the system's going to go ahead and analyze the file that we imported for any issues or errors. Here we can see that the file determined one error. We can hover over the error and see that the manager here does not exist. It looks like we added an extra 0, so we can go ahead and double click into the cell, update the field, and then select, sorry, one more 0 here, and then select revalidate to revalidate the file. Once it's been validated and there are no more errors, you can go ahead and select import. The system will work through the import process and perform the updates based on the file. The service currently supports locations, jail counts, statistical counts, departments, and classes. And then there's a current open beta for vendors and customers. It's not currently available in my system, but we have a ticket open to determine why the open beta isn't an option at the moment. We'll follow up with you with that later. I'm going to go ahead and hand this back over to Ashley to go over some changes in the core applications.
Thank you, James. I'll be walking you through the exciting updates in the accounts payable, accounts receivable, and financial report writer applications. First, in accounts payable, a helpful improvement to bill approval workflows. Sage Intacct has streamlined bill approval policies by separating rule types from named users. So if we navigate to accounts payable, the setup tab, and the configuration, let's go ahead and scroll down to the bill approval section. Here we go. And if we click on Approval Policies Manage, previously the rule type mixed both the rules and the approvers, which made it pretty cluttered. So now you'll notice only rule types appear here in this column, like vendor approval, your vendor-based approval, value approval, transaction department, and now you'll see user level. To add a specific approver, select the new user level rule type, and then you'll go ahead and you'll notice a new column, user, where you'll go ahead and select your user. If you already had an approval process where you had named users in your policy configured, Sage Intacct automatically converted them, so you're all set with no extra work on your part. So now let's move on to updates affecting both accounts payable and accounts receivable. So the first shared update for AP and AR is an important warning enhancement that applies to both accounts payable and accounts receivable. So now when you attempt to void or reverse a transaction that's already been reconciled, Sage Intacct will now warn you before you proceed. So let's go ahead and go into accounts payable, and we'll go to our posted payments. So now when you select void on a reconciled payment, a reconciled manual payment, or a reconciled advance, you'll now see a warning pop up. So let's go ahead and click on one of these, which is one of my posted payments, and now you'll see this new warning. And this just reminds you that the transaction is cleared, and it helps you avoid disrupting any reconciled periods. So if you do choose to proceed, just ensure your reversal date is in an open, unreconciled period. So if I go ahead and click OK, I'll still be able to make my void. And I'll go ahead and show you this for manual payments within AP. Same warning message. And if we go to accounts receivable, we'll click on one of our advances here that I have. And if I click reverse here, because I haven't applied it, I can still go ahead and see that warning message here. And again, this safeguard just helps you avoid any unintended changes to reconciled periods while still giving you that flexibility to manage exceptions. The second shared update with accounts payable and accounts receivable tightens security around CSV imports of posted transactions. So now if you want to import posted AP account adjustments, AR account adjustments, or AR invoices, you must have the post permission. Previously, only the add permission was needed. So that means any users who don't have post rights today, they can still import transactions, but only as drafts. So when you have your import file, just make sure that the state or the status of that transaction in your import file says draft. This change improves consistency across Sage Intacct and it better protects your financial data. So let's go ahead and navigate to one of my roles. And I have an example here for my accounting clerk. So if I go ahead and click on subscriptions here, if I navigate to accounts payable or accounts receivable, we'll do one. I'll show you each one. If we go to accounts payable, what you'll now see for account adjustments is previously there was only the add permission, but now there is a post permission here. And with AR, same thing with the AR invoices, you'll see there's the add permission, but now there's a post permission for invoices and adjustments. So if you have any users today who typically import AP or AR account adjustments or AR invoices, you'll need to make the necessary updates to their roles to import posted transactions. Now let's move deeper into AR enhancements. We've got a great enhancement for AR statements where now external credits are included at the entity level. Previously, AR statements only showed advances and overpayments from other entities, but not adjustments or negative invoices. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and switch over to my entity level since that's where I generate my statements. And we'll navigate to accounts receivable, printer email, and then our statements. And so now when you're on the printer email statement screen, if you scroll down to the filter section, you'll notice a new filter right here down below called Show External Credits. And you'll see everything that's been applied from other entities. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example that I have in the system. I'm going to go ahead and filter by my customer. Going to select this box for Show External Credits, and we'll go ahead and click on View. This will go ahead and generate a statement that I have for this customer, and we'll go ahead and click on Preview. And so now I have a test statement that generated, and I can see a lot of lines for a lot of my invoices. I have inline invoices as well as adjustments. And the thing that I would like to note here is at the very bottom here, you have my external credits that I applied. So if you do generate any if you do apply any external credits to any of your invoices, whether that be with an account adjustment or maybe a negative inline item on your invoice, you'll now see that here. And it'll be displayed letting you know that an external credit was applied from either a entity or location, and it tells you what it was applied to and what entity of that invoice it was applied to. And then all of this is just to ensure that your entity level statements now balance perfectly to your AR ledger and your aging reports. Now for a couple of AR announcements you'll want to note. First, based on customer feedback, Sage Intacct is delaying the retirement of the classic receive a payment page. So if we navigate to accounts receivable and we go to receive a payment, this is the classic receive a payment page. No new date has been announced yet, but Sage Intacct wants to ensure that the new experience is polished and intuitive before retiring the classic one. So we'll be sure to update you all as soon as we hear of a new sunset date. Secondly, coming soon, customer refunds and accounts receivable. We don't have this enabled in our demo environment, but let's bring up the release notes so you can take a quick peek. Available now to select early adopter clients only, you'll soon be able to record customer refunds directly in accounts receivable. Here's a screenshot of what the new customer refund screen will look like. You'll be able to record a refund using the record transfer payment method. You'll be able to enter the amount you refunded and match it to customers' available credits. And then upon posting, it'll go ahead and automatically clear the selected credits. So that just means no more manual balancing of adjustments. You'll simply just record the refund amount, select your credits to clear, and it will go ahead and streamline that entire refund process for you. Once you create that customer refund, there will also be a separate customer refunds list screen where you can go ahead and see all of your customer refunds. So stay tuned for the broader rollout in a future release. Finally, let's look at the enhancement to the financial report writer. Now, when you save a report, Sage Intacct will analyze its structure and offers recommendations to improve performance or suggest alternative reporting options. So let's go ahead and navigate to my profit and loss 12-month history report. And with this report, if I look at my columns, I have a lot of columns in here. And let's go ahead and click Save and Done. Now you'll see this pop up where this isn't a generic warning. The system actually will scan the report to uncover specific triggers in the report build that can cause either performance issues or it'll go ahead and make recommendations for improvement. So for example, you may see recommendations pop up if you have more than 12 columns in your report, which this one did, 4 or more expanded rows or columns, any to-date reporting periods like prior year to date, and expanded dimensions with over 100 values. Now, if I go ahead and click continue, I'm still able to save my report, but these types of suggestions just help you improve your report performance, or they help you find the best option for your advanced financial reports. That concludes my portion of the Release 2 demo. I hope you're as excited as I am about these productivity and control enhancements in APAR and financial reporting. Now I'll hand it back over to James, who will walk us through the updates in cash management.
Thanks, Ashley. Definitely seems like some good changes coming for ARAP and financial reporting there. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So for cash management, we're going to go ahead and jump into a couple of key things. One would be the retirement of the classic bank transaction import functionality, the addition of credit card transactions to the new bank transaction assistant import functionality, and then the ability to reclassify credit card transactions. But before we jump into that, I want to launch our next polling question around the bank transaction assistant. I just want to know how many customers we have or clients we have that are actually utilizing the bank transaction assistant now for their bank reconciliations. Okay, it looks like we have quite a few people that aren't using it and some people that maybe know about it but haven't tried it yet. So we'll go ahead and jump into a quick demo of that. So before that though, I also want to highlight the retirement of the classic import functionality if you're using that. Sage noted that it's going to be retired no earlier than May of next year, the end of May of next year. And if you are using that, it would be by going to Cash Management, All, Bank, and you have this import link down here in your reconciliation page. If you're importing transactions via this link, just note that by the end of May next year, Intacct is going to be retiring it shortly after that. And it might be good to move to the new import functionality, which also supports credit card transaction imports. In order to use the new import functionality, you'll first need to enable it in your Sage Cloud Services subscription. To do that, you'll want to navigate to your application menu, company, admin, and then subscriptions. Scroll down to Sage Cloud Services and select configure. If Sage Cloud Services isn't enabled, you won't have this configuration option available. But this is a free application to enable. You won't be charged for it for your subscription fees. It allows you to utilize bank feeds and the import functionality. Let's go ahead and select configure. And here you'll note we have enable bank transaction assistant file import. Go ahead and check that box and select save. Once it's enabled, you'll also need to apply the appropriate permissions to be able to utilize the import functionality. To apply those permissions, you'll want to navigate to the company application, admin, and then roles. Select the role that you want to apply this permission to by selecting subscriptions, select permissions on cash management, and then you'll see this line here for bank transactions for API and import. Go ahead and add the permissions and select save. Once enabled, when you navigate to your cash management application, sorry, we'll just jump to this demo. Once enabled, you'll see in your cash management application menu, you have bank transaction import files as a menu option now. Go and select that, and it'll bring you to the bank transaction file list. So what's nice about the new bank transaction assistant is it does keep a record of all the imported files and transactions, whereas the classic import functionality, once you've reconciled that account, those transactions clear out of the system and there's no record of them. The new functionality will actually keep a record of those files. To add a file, go ahead and select add. And you'll note here you have a drop-down where you can select a bank account or credit card account. Go ahead and select which account you want to do the import for. You'll have a little bit of data here as to the last time you were able to import transactions, the number of transactions you received, and the amount of transactions that you've actually imported. Go ahead and select continue. And this will open the file import page. If you have any questions around how to set up your file, download a file, you can go ahead and select the file import guide here, and it'll pop out this little menu on the right-hand side. For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to be using a CSV with 3-column format. But if your bank supports the export of transactions in any of the formats listed here, it could be a great option to improve efficiency with doing these imports because you can just do a direct download from your bank and import into the system without having to do any formatting of a file. So we'll go and select learn more on the 3-column CSV. And you can select download to get the file. You'll note here that the 3-column CSV has 3 default headers, date, description, and amount, with a deposit into account being a positive amount and withdrawal into the account being a negative amount. If you need additional file headers, you can still add those to the file. So if you scroll down, you'll see a section here for additional column headers. So if you wanted to add check number, reference number, payee name, things like that, you can still add those headers to the file and import that information into your bank reconciliation. So I'll go ahead and close this out, and I'll bring up an example file that I've already prepared for this demonstration. Bring it over. So as you can see, we have the three default headers of date, description, amount, and then I've added the headers of check number and reference number. From here, you can just go ahead and select the file from your device, open, and then you can import without review or review transactions. For this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and review the transactions. Give it a second while it imports the file. So it's nice that this also has a little bit of duplicate detection. So if you've imported this file previously, the system will give you a warning that this has been imported before. So we can go and just bypass that by saying, yes, we're going to go ahead and import the file. The next stage is going to give you a chance to actually review the transactions within that file. So here it says, 5 out of 5 transactions might already be in Sage. So it's running that duplicate detection on these transactions. And then it also gives you an opportunity to switch the signs if maybe this should have been a deposit rather than a withdrawal, something along those lines. We're going to go ahead and select confirm import. And now the system will work in the background importing this file. So feel free to go ahead and work in other areas of the system while the system performs the import. You'll see here has a status of loading. Once that moves to completed, the transaction should then be available in the system and in your bank reconciliation. Once it's imported, the transactions will be maintained here in the bank transaction list. So you'll be able to see them here. You'll have a record of what they've been matched to and things like that. So definitely good record keeping rather than using the classic import functionality. Now, the next feature that we want to go into is the actual reclassification of credit card transactions. So we'll navigate back to this demo here and at the entity level. So we'll go ahead to reclassify credit card transaction. We'll go ahead and navigate to cash management, credit card transactions, and we'll see this transaction here. One thing to note with the ability to reclassify credit card transactions is it's only going to support reclassifications of transactions that were created directly into cash management as credit card transactions, rather than transactions that came over maybe from an AP bill that was paid via credit card or from time and expenses. So we'll go ahead and view this transaction. And from here, we can note that this transaction has already been paid. That's another requirement to be able to actually reclassify the transaction, is that it's been added to a charge payoff or has been paid. If it hasn't, you would just want to edit. So in order to open up the reclassification, you can select edit, and then you'll notice here a new option here for reclassify. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention here on this is that in order to actually be able to reclassify transactions within your environment, you'll need to enable that within the cash management configuration. So to enable reclassification, you want to go to the application menu, cash management, setup, and then configuration. Here you'll see a new menu configuration option for enable reclassification of credit card transactions. You want to go ahead and check that and select save. Additionally, you'll also need to make sure that you have the reclassify permission for credit card transactions. In order to assign that permission, you want to navigate to the company application, the admin tab, and then roles. From here, select the role you want to add, select subscriptions on the role that you want to add that permission to. Select permissions for cash management. And then you'll notice here within the credit card accounts, or sorry, credit card transactions, you now have this reclassify permission that you can add. Once the configuration is enabled and the permission is added, you should then be able to reclassify your credit card transactions. That's it for the cash management updates. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Becca to go through updates for purchasing and fixed assets.
Thank you, James. All right, everyone, let me go ahead and share my screen now. All right. So like James said, today I will cover some purchasing and fixed management highlights from the latest release. Starting with purchasing, we wanted to highlight the new ability to hide the price on receiver transactions if the price is not relevant to the specific document type. When you hide the price for a transaction, the price column is hidden both on the transaction list page as well as each transaction record. This is useful for scenarios like maybe you have a receiving department who does not care about the item price and just wants to record the quantity they received. Or maybe you're receiving high value items such as laptops and prefer that warehouse employees who are receiving the items not see the price of each unit. To enable this feature, it's done at within each specific transaction definition from within purchasing. So navigate into the transaction definition, edit it, and then now you'll see a new option under user overrides with the choice to hide the price. So once that is selected on the transaction definition, I'll show you what that looks like from the system perspective. So let's pretend here that we are converting a purchase order to a receiver's purchase order. You can come in, convert, and down here where you used to see the price and quantity, now you'll only see the quantity available. So you're able to just mark the quantity received, post, and the person receiving will not see the price option there, the price field there. The next topic I wanted to go over is related to fixed asset management, which is a newer product that Sage put out last year. And Sage is really putting a lot of investment into improving this product with each quarterly release. This month, they had several enhancements around this module that I will be going over today. The first one is the long-awaited out-of-the-box depreciation roll-forward report. This report has been added to the fixed asset management reporting package. So if you're an existing user of fixed asset management, you will need to re-download that reporting package, and then this report will be available for you to run. Once it's downloaded and installed, you can either run it from your custom reports list or from within your report center. And I will show you what that looks like today. So when running the report, you have the option to either show details or not. You can go ahead, put in a date range if you'd like to see for a specific time period. And like any report, you can view it directly in the system or export it to Excel. So this report provides a detailed view of all the changes in accumulated depreciation for your fixed assets over a specified period. It shows the beginning accumulated depreciation balance, depreciation expenses recorded during the period, as well as the ended accumulated depreciation balance, so you can reconcile any differences. If there's any additional fields you want to pull into this report, you have the option to duplicate it and customize the report as needed to fit your specific reporting needs. The next updates I wanted to go over today are some eagerly anticipated list and page enhancements to the fixed asset list. So now you have the option to export your fixed asset list. So if we go into the fixed asset management module, this will pull up a list of all of your fixed assets. And here I only have two, but you do have the option to go ahead now and export your full list to either CSV, Excel, PDF, or Word. Additionally, if you have several fixed assets, you also have the option that you can manage within your preferences to add more records per page. So prior to R2, you were limited to only seeing 100 fixed assets per page. Now you can increase that to up to 500 rows per page. The next page enhancement or list and page enhancement they did is adding an audit trail to each of your fixed asset records. So to view the audit trail, you simply can navigate into an individual fixed asset record. And once this loads, give it a second here. If you click on the three buttons at the top, you'll now see the option to view the audit trail, which shows all activity related to the particular asset, all the way from the asset creation to any modifications that have been done to the asset since it's been created. The last feature I wanted to highlight today is, so you may recall if you're a fixed asset management user in R1, Sage introduced new functionality to update dimension taggings within individual assets by using the transfer functionality. This last release, this rolled out the ability to update any dimension tags except for the entity dimension. So with R2, they've extended that functionality to now allow you to also update the entity so you can transfer assets between your different entities as long as the assets were created at the top level and the entities that you're transferring them between share the same base currency. So to utilize that functionality, again, just from within a fixed asset, you'll click the transfer button, and then this will load a second page where you're able to adjust any dimension taggings, including the location, and then simply put the transfer date and click the transfer button, and Intacct will automatically update the asset for you and any future depreciation schedules. That's all we had today on the purchasing and fixed asset management updates. Now I'm going to pass it off to Ginger, who will cover some functionality around contracts, inventory, and consolidations.
Thank you, Becca. Thanks for the screen. So we're going to start with some updates on the contracts module. They have replaced the billing transaction tab, and it is now a contract summary tab. And what this will allow you to do is track system-wide activity that has to do with this contract. So you'll not only be able to see your contract billing transactions, but any transactions within the system that was actually tagged to this contract. And you also have the option of, if you tag the contract with a project, this will also go to your project summary. And from there, you can drill down also. So I can, go look at the bill that was sitting here that's tagged to this particular contract. You can also go through and look at the specific order entry invoices that were created. So it's just a better way to see all of the system-wide activity for your contract. The other functionality that they have added is through the contract summary tab, you're able to pay a bill. Now, this will pop up your order entry payment piece, just as if you were going in and paying from there. You could do record transfer, choose your payment receipt date, it'll pop up, and you can pay. Now, this then creates the entry that is the order entry transaction, the invoice was paid. Now, as you can see, and I will refresh the screen, but as you pay, if it's greater than zero, the amount due, it will show up to have that tag to be able to pay. So you can see these are all gone now. So if we go over into order entry, this does not take away your option of paying from the order entry screen. You still have that option also, but you can see now that these invoices are tagged as paid. So it's the same pop-up from the order entry screen, but you can now do that within your contracts module on the contract summary tab. Another feature that they have added is from the contract screen, the list screen, you will be able to generate invoices. So instead of coming into the contract, generate the invoice, adding your filters, adding which customer or contract group that you want to run, you can do from the list view. Now, this is part of the R2 release. Intacct has been notified that they are working on it to bring it back up. But I wanted to just bring over what the release notes. So you'll be able to see what it would look like. When you're in the list view, you can go ahead and click generate. It'll already have pre-filled any of those filters. So it's specifically for this one contract that you'll be able to generate that invoice for. So we'll keep track of that, and usually Intacct will bring out any updates usually weekly. So as that gets added, we will let you know. And the next piece is if you have any custom fields on your contract line, you are now able to update that data. So if you have to cancel a contract for any reason and you're using custom fields, previously you were not able to change any of that. It made it difficult to update metadata, correct information, or add missing context for why you maybe are canceling it or want to cancel it. So, but now you are able to update custom fields after a contract has been canceled. Another new feature, it is part of the contract configuration page. They are now allowing to update the relax GL posting date rules. So again, previously, this just helps if, when enabled, if a new contract's line start date falls in a closed period during the evergreen renewal, this setting automatically adjusts the GL posting date. So Intacct uses the earliest date in an open period as the GL posting date instead. So now you wouldn't have to go in and you'll get an error that it didn't renew. You have to manually go in and change dates. If this is enabled, it will automatically pick the next open period. Hey, so moving on, and some of you may have noticed this from Monday, there was information on the community and a banner specifically. Intacct has separated out time and expense. This used to be all in one module, and now they have separated it out. Some clients are using projects within the timesheets or listed on the project screen. Because of the separating of time and expense, those timesheets, that view was removed from projects. So you need to go into your subscriptions and enable time and expense. You can go through the configuration. It is free. When you have projects, time and expense is free. So what happens now is that under projects and the configuration, you will see your time configuration for all of your timesheet information. But to actually use the timesheets, it is under this new module to go into your timesheets. So it's just removing it from projects and putting it into its own space. The next piece I'd like to go over is consolidations. So this is especially if you have multiple entities and there's any type of ownership or you're using domestic or consolidations, there is a new standard dimension. Let me get to entities. There's a new standard dimension affiliate entity. And an affiliate entity is a separate legal entity that's related to another entity, typically through a common ownership or control. So the affiliate entity tagging benefits inter-entity reconciliation processing. You can get balance accounts for the affiliate entity dimension value. So for an example, suppose your management company has an inter-entity receivable for 15 other entities. And previously or currently, you can see in the inter-entity mappings, you could have, an advanced. So if you have an advanced, you would have a receivable and a payable account for every single one. There would be a due to, due from. As you can see, this is what this particular demo had previously. So there was a due to for each entity and a due from. Well, now with this tagging, you can actually go down and have one only because any type of journal entry or consolidations, you can actually see that affiliated entity. So as an example, in a journal entry, and I apologize, I have multiple tabs open to easily go through. We have this inter-entity journal entry. The source entity is 300. We're tagging multiple other entities, and the system is creating this IE entry. And in the show details, it's automatically filling in that inter-entity or the affiliate entity dimension. So it'll automatically fill that in. Now, for reporting purposes, one way you can see this is in a dimension balance report. So just off of my one, you can see here we have all of these due to, due froms, but for just my one receivable, I can now see all of the entities that were related, and I can see the charges for each one. So this allows me to also reconcile, and as I'm adding in additional entities, I can still use only the one receivable and payable and be able to reconcile. I've also created a reconciliation report. So you can see here a financial report that's going to show my US locations and then all my receivables across the board to be able to see what my receivable amount was for each one. So this will help reduce as your company grows, as you get more entities and they have relationships between each other, you'll be able to not you can use the one GL account if you would like and be able to reconcile easier. You have another option through the books for global consolidations or the ownership consolidation books. Under entities to consolidate, you can eliminate by the affiliate entities. And that will bring in also your IEs. And then as you run your consolidations and run your reports, you'll be able to eliminate between the two just by using the affiliate entity. There's quite a bit of information and a lot that you can do with the affiliate entity. So if you have any additional questions, please let us know. I'm going to turn this back over to Ashley now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you everyone for walking through the R2 features with us. To quickly recap, today we covered updates across several key applications, showcased how these enhancements can optimize your processes, and shared helpful tips for preparing for the R2 release. We hope this demo helped you feel more confident about what's coming and how you can take advantage of the new functionalities.